So just a quick video from me. Apologies for lack of new vids since my last Men of War video, Blood River, but just been very busy, and Blood River took a very long time to do, so I just can't quite find the time at the moment to sit down and put together another new one, but I do intend to. So like I always say, stay tuned for more stuff, but just can't put it out quite as quickly as I know many would like. But Blood River, I was very proud of that one, so hope you've been enjoying it. So anyway, I've been to Bovington Tank Museum again. I went last year around the same time, July 2016, did a video then. But I just thought I'd just show some pictures of my time at Bovington Tank Museum last Sunday. So not loads, but just a few. And like I said last time, highly recommend you go here if you're in the UK. It's in Dorset. If you like tanks, well worth the trip. So this is the first picture I took. It's just of a Churchill. Where possible, I've zoomed in on the information sheet. So here we've got the Churchill tank, named after the Prime Minister, Churchill. And it's an interesting story behind this tank, because the first action this saw was in Dieppe, when the Brits launched a kind of raid against the German defences in France in 1943, I think. And it was almost like an experiment, and they used the Canadian troops. Quite a controversial attack, but I didn't know much about that. And yeah, just a picture of some of the reenactment going on. Terrible picture there. And another tank. So this is the Comet. This is a great tank. Great British late war era tank. Probably the most effective, well, arguably the most effective British tank design of the war. Very effective against most German armour because of its 17-pounder weapon. You can just about read that. I'll read some of this sometimes, but the text isn't clear in some pictures. I didn't really get close enough. It was more an afterthought, really, that I thought I'd do this bit, zoom in on the text. But yeah, the Comet's a very, very formidable tank. This was the Fury tank from the film. So this is a Sherman M4E8, I think, or M4. Yeah, I think so. M4A2, I think that says. I'm not entirely sure, but it's one of the later era Sherman tanks, and this was used in the film. There were massive queues to get into that. I couldn't be bothered in the end, but apparently Brad Pitt signed the inside of it. So anyway, what's this? So yeah, this is a Challenger 1. This was interesting about the Challenger 1. I didn't realise it was actually originally created because of some... Yeah, you can't really read that text. It was not really clear enough. But essentially, it was created as a result of I think some sort of Saudi prince or somewhere in the Middle East wanting a tank to be designed, and the Brits put one out, and it turned out to be so good that they used it for their own military. So the Chieftain, which is a great British tank, as a result of the Centurion during the Korean War. I skipped through a lot of these ones. There was a Stuart there, which I just mainly took because of the reenactors sitting on it. So this is obviously a Jag Panther. This got lots of attention, and all these tanks are out on display, which was good because they didn't have that last year. They didn't have quite so many tanks out in the field here. What's this? Panzer III, I think. I found this quite interesting. I'm not usually that interested in medium or light tanks. I usually just focus on the heavy stuff. But actually, this was quite an interesting little snippet here. I got the text quite well. So the Panzer III was a simple, reliable tank. Could be produced in large numbers. And just moving on from that, it talks about how it served with Rommel in the Afrika Korps. And this particular one was captured and brought back to Britain and luckily restored. But it was a very effective tank, the Panzer III. This is a British modern field gun, self-propelled howitzer artillery system, AS-90. Very, very cool vehicle, very fast as well. But essentially it's just a howitzer. It's just a mobile howitzer. Another generic random picture there. This thing was interesting. It was right at the back, and you could have missed it. It was really just right at the back of the whole event, the whole display. And it was a British, a Malkara, and basically it was a AA anti-aircraft car that was designed to be dropped from an aircraft, if you read that bit there. So I think it was, I'm not sure how effective it was or if it was ever used at all, but there's another picture of it there. But the idea was it could be dropped from a vehicle and then used as a sort of I don't know, like a sort of makeshift AA position. Another shot there of the Jagdpanther, and it talked a bit about how that was very effective against tanks as a sort of ambush vehicle, hiding in hedgerows, etc. Don't know what this is, just a little AA gun. So this is in the warehouse where they just put a load of vehicles. I think they just rotate them a lot. And I took similar photographs last year, so I won't analyse these too much. This was interesting, just a little thing about a sort of project during World War One, where they just created tanks on the cheap just to allow you to move things around. World of Tanks LAN tournament, that was going strong. Lots of World of Tanks celebrities there, don't know any of them, but that was a popular event. Yeah, this was interesting. A little bit controversial perhaps on the part of the museum, one could argue, but this is a PaK 88, the infamous German anti-tank vehicle cannon, and they restored this. Apparently they originally found it in a field near the camp a few years ago. They restored it, but they don't really have it on display. They just have it stocked in a warehouse somewhere, and I kind of figured it needed to have a better display than that, because you could have easily missed it. So what's this? So this was in the tank. So the Tigers this year are in their own room, and that was really impressive. It was the highlight of the trip, really. And this was just an interesting graphic they had on one of the walls, just showing the numbers. So it gives you a perspective of the production there. So the Tigers, they made hundreds of them, whereas the T-34s, etc., they were thousands. That was the back of a Jagdtiger. That's a prototype Tiger 2. And then you've got the Tiger 2 with the full camo on there. Really impressive sight, that. You've got another picture of it there. That's a lovely vehicle. That's the Elephants, also known as a Ferdinand. And like I said, they're all in the same room. It's really impressive seeing them all lined up next to each other. Really nice. And obviously there you've got the Tiger 1, or the Tiger, I think they call it Tiger 139. That's its designation. And that was obviously in the film Fury as well. But really impressive seeing all those vehicles in one room. This was just an interesting bit about the motorcycle that Lawrence of Arabia died on. This wasn't the actual bike, but it was the same model. So just some interesting information there about the motorbike, and I'm not done up on motorbikes, but it's interesting nonetheless. This was the last picture I took, I think. So this was just the back of a British, I think, chieftain, chieftain, I think. And to the right of it, I didn't get a particularly good picture of it, but you've got the Conqueror as well, which was the really heavy British Cold War era tank with a massive gun on, 120mm, I think, or perhaps even bigger. But anyway, there you go. So just a few pictures, just thought I'd show you. Like I said last year, highly recommend the place. I think I even preferred it this year around, actually, perhaps because I knew what to expect and I knew the layout of the place. I was able to kind of focus on certain parts more. But yeah, there you go. So stay tuned. I will hopefully get more videos out soon. I am still playing Steel Division, but it's a fun game, but it's not really very good for video editing purposes because it doesn't really have an editor. So I think I'll probably focus on Men of War still for that stuff. But I'm still looking for new games. I'm still trying to find more World War II stuff I like, but I always end up going back to Men of War in the end. So yeah, there you go.